Yes, let us continue with our lesson on the law of evidence. Now, let us talk about evidence that deals with the type of wounds or type of injuries, right? You will find that a person a person has been stabbed. So, first of all, you need to know types of wounds. There is what is called an incised wound. Incised wound, that means from the word incisors. Incisors are those sharp teeth of a dog or even a human being. If you are bitten by that, they will go deep. So the incised wound comes from that concept. Inside, that means going deep into the body of the victim. There is wounds called laceration wounds. Laceration wounds are like cuts. Now the question is, can a laceration cause death? The answer is yes, because if a laceration is, for instance, on a jugular vein, that person will bleed to death. Or if a laceration is on or any other vein and is not treated, a person might bleed to death. So that happens. There's also talk about wounds that are caused by firearms. Okay, that is now gunshot wounds. They are called gunshot wounds, right? You need to know how do they differ from other. First of all, when you are going to deal with the gunshot wounds, you need to have some knowledge of guns. There is a gun called shotgun. A shotgun has pellets, has something called pellets. They are just round, small iron marbles that are contained in the bullet. And when that bullet is fired, it then disperses those pellets. It's normally used to disperse crowds who are protesting. When you protest at the university, police will come with shotgun and shoot at you. You will have those small ions. You call them bullets, but they are in fact pellets. But because they've got fire, they will burn you. They are very sensitive, or yeah. So that is another one. There's also, so what is important with with the shotgun is that if it is fired at a close range, it will that shot will be fatal, and it will make a wound, right? A wound from the front, right? With a diameter of say, if you remember the old 1 rand, the big 1 rand, it will make that diameter maybe this size, right? But at the back it will make a big hole, because it was fired at a close range. So as an attorney, you need to know what is called the exit wound, and the entry wound, and the exit wound. The entry wound will always be smaller than the exit wound when it comes to a shotgun, right? It was called, sometimes they call it a Browning. It's the long shotgun, is the long gun. It's when you are loading it, you will sort of bend it. It breaks into half, and then you will load it with those rounds, right? The bullets are called rounds, right? If somebody says how many rounds, you must know that they are talking about how many bullets were in that. So they differ. That firearm can you can put how many about they differ. There's one that loads when you break it, then it will load into the barrel, but there is another one that will load about 4 underneath, and you will cock it. You'll use something that's under the barrel to pull it. You're cocking it. You cock that fire, and then the bullet goes into the chamber, and then you fire. It works like that. So you will always cock and fire, right? That means you cock, and then you fire. You cock, you fire, right? It works like that. Okay. Now, this is important about a shotgun. A shotgun does not have grooves in the barrel, the grooves that we call ballistics. So there are grooves. Ballistics are used or are formed in the barrel in order to give the bullet speed, because when a bullet comes out of the barrel, it spins, and that spin gives it velocity. So you'll find that a bullet travels something like 379 meters per second. That is quite fast. So they differ on what is called the caliber, right? That's where you get the caliber. The caliber is in the grooves that are contained in the barrel. Those are the caliber will then tell you, because they are like fingerprints, they are unique. It will tell you that this bullet actually came from this particular gun, especially when you talk about revolvers, which are .38, and we talk of pistols like the Parabellum 9mm Parabellum that is normally used by the police. There's also another gun called the Z88. It's also a very powerful gun. It's used by the police and the army as well. Okay, now let us talk about the shotgun first. Now the shotgun you will not be able to see that the bullet was shot from this particular bullet was shot from this particular shotgun, because there are no grooves in the barrel of a shotgun. But you can be able to determine that this cartridge, that is now the cartridge from where the pellets come from, because once they are shot, they will then jump off the gun and be on the floor. So as police or as the state, you will come and collect those. You can determine the actual gun that fired that particular cartridge by matching what is called the firing pin, because the firing pin will be different. Then the firing pin will tell you that this cartridge was fired from this gun when you look at the mark made by the firing pin. For some reasons, they made the firing pin not to be the same. Unlike pistols and revolvers and other guns, the firing pin is the same, but the difference is with the caliber. That is now the grooves that are formed in the barrel. But with the shotgun, it's different. It is now the firing pin. See, when you are shooting, there's something called the firing pin. In the revolvers, you will see it goes like this. It's called a hammer. The hammer has got a firing pin. Then it will hit on the bullet. Once you hit in the bullet, then there will be fire within the bullet, and then the projectile will be discharged. That's how a gun fires. So it's not easy for this thing to know, for a shotgun to know which this pellet came from this particular shotgun, but the firing pin will tell you if you are fortunate to get the cartridges, right? So Google cartridges. If you don't know what cartridges are, you must Google that, because you don't just hear me saying any word and then you don't go and find out what does it mean. Okay, now let us come now to other firearms, right? Other firearms, and see how they fire and how can you be able to determine as in your evidence to say this is the bullet from where this particular